Hey everyone, 99% of you watching aren't subscribed. Let's change that. Hit that subscribe button, and at 1,000 subscribers, we'll drop special stories just for you.
The first sign that something was wrong came before anyone saw her. It was the sky. Elias had noticed it on his way to school, just a flicker, like heat distortion, except it shimmered in strange colors. Not quite blue, not quite violet. It lasted only a second, and when he blinked, it was gone. He almost ignored it. Almost. By the time he reached the schoolyard, everything felt normal again. Kids shouted. Bags slammed against lockers. Someone argued loudly about homework. The usual chaos. But something pulled him away from it. A feeling. Quiet, insistent. He found himself walking behind the old storage shed. The place no one really went unless they wanted to be alone. That's when he saw her. At first, he thought she was just another student sitting on the ground. Then she moved. Not like a person should. Her body shifted too slowly, too carefully, like gravity didn't quite apply to her the same way. Her hair drifted slightly upward, even though there was no wind. And when she turned her head, Elias froze. Her eyes weren't normal. They held depth, not just color, but motion like distant stars flickering inside them. For a moment, neither of them spoke. Then she tried to stand. It didn't go well. Her legs buckled immediately, and she collapsed back on the ground with soft, frustrated sound. Barely more than a breath. Elias hesitated. He should probably get a teacher, or call someone, or do anything except just stand there staring. But something about her expression stopped him. She wasn't crying. She wasn't panicking. She just looked confused, like the world itself didn't make sense. "Hey!" Elias said finally, stepping forward. "Are you okay?" She looked up at him, startled, as if she hadn't noticed him at all until that moment. Her gaze locked onto his face, intense and searching. "Yes," she said. The word came out slowly, carefully, like she was assembling it piece by piece. Elias frowned. "You sure? That didn't look okay." She tilted her head. "Okay," she repeated, quieter this time. Definition unclear. He blinked. What?" She pushed herself up again, trying to stand. Her legs trembled violently, barely supporting her weight. Elias instinctively reached out and caught her before she fell. She stiffened at the contact. For a second, he thought she might pull away. Instead, she just stared at his hand gripping her arm. "Support," she murmured. "Yeah," Elias said awkwardly. "That's what I'm doing." She looked back up at him. "Why?" The question hit him off guard. "Why what?" "Why support?" she asked. Elias opened his mouth, then closed it again. "I mean, because you're about to fall?" She processed that, slowly. Then she nodded. Logical. He almost laughed. "Can you walk?" he asked. She tried again. One step. Her leg shook uncontrollably. Another step. She collapsed. Elias caught her again, this time more carefully. "Okay, yeah, that's a no," he muttered. She didn't seem embarrassed, just thoughtful. "My body is malfunctioning," she said. "That's one way to put it," Elias replied. He glanced toward the main building. No one had noticed him yet. "Do you have someone? Like parents? Or—" She shook her head. No record," she said. Elias frowned. "That's not really how that works." She looked at him again, that same searching gaze. "It is how it works for me." Something about the way she said it made him stop questioning. "Okay," he said slowly. "What's your name?" She hesitated, like the answer wasn't immediate. Then, "Lyra." "Lyra," he repeated. "I'm Elias." She studied the word. Elias. She echoed, testing it. Then she did something unexpected. She smiled. It was small, uneven, like she wasn't used to doing it. But it was there. Elias felt something shift in his chest. "All right, Lyra," he said. "We should probably get you inside." She looked toward the school building, then back at him. "Distance too great," she said. He sighed. "Yeah, I figured." He crouched down in front of her. "Get on." She blinked. "On my back," he said. "I'll carry you." She stared at him like he had just suggested something completely alien. "Carrie," she repeated. "Yeah, like this." He gestured. She didn't move. Instead, she asked, "Why?" Again, Elias rubbed the back of his neck. "Because you can't walk and I can?" She considered that. Then, slowly, she leaned forward, her arms wrapped around his shoulders. Light, almost hesitant, Elias adjusted his grip and stood. He almost stumbled, not because she was heavy, but because she wasn't. She felt wrong. Too light, like carrying something that only partially existed. "Whoa," he muttered. "You weigh like nothing." "Incorrect," Lyra said near his ear. "I have mass." "Yeah, I'm sure you do," he replied. "Just not a lot of it." They started walking, across the yard, past the other students. Now people noticed. "Dude, what are you doing?" "Who's that?" "Why are you carrying her?" Elias ignored them. Lyra didn't react at all. Instead, she leaned slightly closer. "Elias," she said quietly. "Yeah, this is efficient." He smiled a little. "Glad you approve." They reached the school entrance. As he set her down carefully, she looked at him again, longer this time, like she was memorizing something. "Thank you," she said. The words were clearer now, more certain. Elias shrugged. No big deal. But as he turned to head inside, he couldn't shake the strange feeling settling in his chest, like something important had just happened, even if he didn't understand what. Behind him, Lyra watched him go, and for just a moment, the air around her shimmered, like distant stars trying to break through. By the third day, it wasn't unusual anymore, at least not to Elias. Every morning, he took the same route, past the cracked sidewalk, across the quiet intersection, and toward the edge of town where Lyra waited. She was always there before him, always in the same place, always sitting perfectly still, as if she had never moved at all. "Hey!" he greeted one morning, slightly out of breath. Lyra turned her head instantly, like she had been expecting that exact moment. "Elias," she said. She said his name differently now, smoother, more natural. He noticed that. "Ready?" he asked, crouching. She didn't question it anymore. "No, why?" No hesitation. She simply leaned forward and wrapped her arms around his shoulders. "Ready," she replied. He lifted her, still weightless, still strange, but now familiar. The routine settled in quickly. Walk, carry, talk. At first, Lyra spoke in short, fragmented sentences. But as days passed, her words became clearer, faster, like she was learning at an unnatural speed. Sometimes, it felt like she wasn't just learning language. She was learning being human. "Why do they laugh?" she asked one morning, watching a group of kids whisper as Elias carried her past. Elias shrugged. "Because they don't get it." "Get what?" "That not everything needs a reason," he said. "Sometimes you just help people." Lyra was quiet for a while. Then she said, "They categorize you as inefficient." Elias laughed. "Yeah, I've been called worse." She tightened her grip slightly. "I do not." He blinked. "Do not what?" "Categorize you as inefficient." He smiled, a little surprised. "Thanks, I guess." School itself was complicated. Lyra struggled at first, but not in the way teachers expected. She didn't understand basic things, like how to hold a pen properly or why history mattered. But when she focused, she absorbed information instantly. Once, during science class, the teacher explained gravitational force in simple terms. Lyra raised her hand. "What you are describing is incomplete," she said. The room went silent. The teacher blinked. "Excuse me." Lyra stood, barely, leaning against her desk. "Gravity is not a force in the traditional sense. It is curvature, distortion of space-time caused by mass-energy distribution." The teacher stared. The class stared. Elias stared. "Where did you learn that?" the teacher asked, stunned. Lyra paused. Then she said, "I do not remember." That answer didn't make things less strange. It made them worse. Outside of class, things were simpler. Elias didn't treat her like a mystery. He treated her like Lyra, They sat together at lunch, walked well carried between classes, and talked a lot. What is favorite? Lyra asked one afternoon. It's something you like more than other things, Elias explained. She thought about it. Then, I have one. Oh, yeah, he said. What is it? She looked at him. You. Elias choked on his drink. What? You are my favorite, she repeated calmly. He turned red. That's not. You're supposed to pick, like, food or something. I do not understand, she said. He laughed nervously. Yeah, that makes two of us. But not everything was easy. There were moments that didn't fit. One day, as Elias carried her home, a group of older students blocked their path. Look at this, one of them sneered. Still playing hero? Move, Elias said, trying to keep his voice steady. Or what? The boy stepped closer. Elias adjusted his grip on Lyra. I don't want trouble. Too late. The boy reached out, and the world changed. The air thickened. Sound warped, like everything was underwater. The boy froze mid-step. His expression twisted, from anger to confusion to something closer to fear. What is this? He whispered. Elias felt it too. Pressure, like something invisible pressing down on everything. He turned his head. Lyra was watching. Her expression was calm. Too calm. Lyra, he said slowly. The boy dropped to his knees, clutching his head. Make it stop, he shouted. Elias's heart pounded. Lyra. She blinked. The pressure vanished instantly. The air snapped back to normal. The boy gasped, scrambling backward. What the hell was that? Elias didn't answer. He just walked past them, faster than before. They didn't talk for a while after that, not until they reached her usual spot. Elias set her down gently. What was that? He asked. Lyra tilted her head. I do not know. That didn't feel like nothing, he said. She looked at her hands. I did not intend harm. I know, Elias said quickly. I'm not saying you did, I just... He stopped. She looked unsettled, not scared, but uncertain, like something inside her had moved without permission. It happens sometimes, she admitted quietly. What does... She hesitated. Things respond. To you? She nodded. Elias ran a hand through his hair. Okay, that's definitely not normal. I am aware, she said. He sighed. For a moment, he considered everything, the weirdness, the questions, the things that didn't add up. He should be worried. He was worried. But when he looked at her, at the girl who couldn't walk properly, who didn't understand simple emotions, who said, thank you, like it was something precious, he couldn't bring himself to pull away. Hey, he said. She looked up. You're still you, right? She blinked. Yes. Then we're good. She studied him. Even if I am not normal? He shrugged. Join the club. For a second, she didn't react. Then she smiled. A little stronger this time. That night, a storm rolled in without warning. Dark clouds swallowed the sky, and rain poured down in heavy sheets. Elias ran down the road, backpack over his head. Great, he muttered. Just great. Then he stopped. Lyra was ahead, standing, alone, in the rain, except she wasn't getting wet. The rain curved around her, every drop bending away, like an invisible barrier surrounded her completely. Elias stared. Okay, he whispered. Now that's not even subtle anymore. Lyra looked up at the sky, then at him. Is this unusual? She asked. He laughed, half amazed, half overwhelmed. Lyra, he said, stepping closer. Nothing about you is usual. She considered that. Then she stepped toward him. The moment he crossed into her space, the rain stopped touching him too. He blinked. Okay, that's actually really cool. She tilted her head slightly. I am learning. Yeah, he said softly. You definitely are. But as lightning flashed across the sky, illuminating her glowing eyes, Elias felt it again. That quiet, growing certainty. Lyra wasn't just different. She was something else entirely. Something far beyond anything he understood. And somehow, he had become part of her world. It started with silence. Not the peaceful kind. The wrong kind. The kind that makes the world feel like it's holding its breath. Elias noticed at the moment he stepped outside that evening. No wind, no distant traffic. Even the usual hum of the town felt muted. He frowned, adjusting his jacket. Okay, that's weird. He walked faster. Something in his chest felt tight, like an instinct he couldn't explain was urging him forward. When he reached Lyra's usual spot, she wasn't sitting. She was standing, perfectly still, perfectly balanced. Elias stopped. For a moment, he just stared. Lyra? She didn't answer. Her back was to him, her gaze fixed on the sky. Hey, he said again more cautiously. You okay? Slowly, she turned. Elias felt his breath catch. Her eyes, they weren't just shimmering anymore. They were glowing. Deep, endless light, like entire constellations were alive inside them. You're standing, he said, barely above a whisper. I know, she replied. Her voice had changed. It wasn't hesitant anymore. It flowed, clear, precise, confident, like something inside her had finally aligned. Elias took a step closer. No shaking, no falling. Yes. What happened? Lyra looked at her hands, flexed her fingers. I am no longer restricted. The word hit him strangely. Restricted? Before he could ask more, the sky split open, not with sound, not with lightning. With light, a vast fracture stretched across the heavens, glowing with colors that didn't belong to any natural spectrum. It wasn't violent, it was precise, deliberate. Elias stumbled backward. What is that? The air itself seemed to bend, humming with energy too immense to comprehend. From the tear in the sky, something descended. Ships, or at least, that's what Elias's mind tried to call them. But they weren't like anything human. They were enormous. Cities of light and structure, shifting and unfolding as they moved. Their surfaces weren't solid but fluid, like geometry constantly rewriting itself. And they made no sound. Lyra didn't react. She simply watched. They found me, she said softly. Elias snapped his head toward her. Who found you? She didn't answer right away. Instead, a beam of light dropped from the largest structure above, pure, radiant, and impossibly focused. It enveloped her. She began to lift slightly off the ground. Lyra! Elias shouted, rushing forward. He stopped just at the edge of the light. He could feel it. Power. Not heat. Not force. Something deeper. Like the fabric of reality itself was thinner inside it. What's happening? He demanded. Lyra looked at him, and for the first time since he'd met her, she looked completely aware. Not confused. Not learning. Remembering. I wasn't injured, she said. Elias blinked. What? My inability to walk, my limitations. They were not damage. Then what were they? She hesitated. Then, a seal. The word echoed. A seal? He repeated. To suppress my presence. My abilities. My signal. Elias's mind raced. Signal? You mean like a beacon? She nodded faintly, to prevent detection. Elias looked up at the sky, at the impossible fleet hovering above them. That didn't work. No, she said quietly. It delayed them. The light around her intensified. Elias clenched his fists. Lyra, who are you? Before she could answer, something appeared inside the beam. A figure. Tall, undefined, yet impossibly clear. Not entirely solid, like it existed across multiple layers of reality at once. Elias's breath hitched. The moment it arrived, everything changed. The air grew heavy. The ground felt distant, and a presence, vast, ancient, absolute, pressed down on the world. Lyra lowered her head slightly. Mother? The word rang louder than anything else. Elias felt his stomach drop. Mother? The figure spoke. Not aloud. Not exactly. Its voice existed directly inside his mind, layered with tones that didn't belong to human speech. Lyra. Just her name. And it carried weight. Authority. Command. I have located you. Elias staggered, grabbing his head. What is that? He gasped. Lyra didn't look away from the figure. I was hidden, she said. Sent away? Why? This time, she did look uncertain. To protect me, she said. From what? Before she could answer, the figure shifted, and suddenly it was looking at Elias. Really looking at him. Elias froze. He couldn't move. It felt like every part of him, his thoughts, his memories, his existence, was being examined in an instant. A human, the entity said. The words carried no emotion. Just fact. Minimal significance. Elias clenched his teeth. Hey, I'm standing right here, he muttered weakly. Lyra stepped forward. He is not insignificant. The pressure in the air flickered. The entity paused. You are detached. Lyra didn't deny it. Yes. Silence followed. Heavy. Evaluating. Then, your suppression protocol has ended, the entity said. It was compromised. I am aware, Lyra replied. You will return. The words weren't a suggestion. They were a directive. Elias felt it. Final. Absolute. Lyra didn't move. For a moment, she just stood there, between two worlds. Lyra, Elias said quietly. She turned to him, and just like that, the overwhelming presence faded from her expression. For a second, she was just the girl he knew. I have to go, she said. Elias swallowed. Yeah, I kind of figured. He tried to sound normal. Failed. So that's it, he asked. You just leave. Her gaze softened. No. The light around her pulsed gently. I will remember. Elias let out a shaky breath. Good, he said, because this is a lot to forget. She stepped closer to the edge of the beam, close enough that he could reach her, but not touch. Elias, she said, yeah, in my world, what you did has meaning. He frowned. Carrying you? Yes. It is not a small act. He shrugged, trying to deflect. It kind of is. She shook her head. No. Her eyes glowed brighter. It is a vow. The word hung between them. Elias didn't know what to say. So he didn't. Behind her, the figure, her mother, remained silent, watching, waiting. Lyra, Elias said finally, his voice quieter now. Was she? Lyra followed his gaze. Then she answered, my mother governs this galaxy. Elias blinked. Governs? Yes. All of it. Yes. He let out a breath that almost turned into a laugh. Of course she does, he said. Why wouldn't she? Lyra almost smiled. Almost. Then the light surged. It is time, the entity said. Lyra stepped backward. Into the beam. Her form began to rise. Lyra, Elias called. She looked down at him one last time. Not as something distant. Not as something powerful. Just, Lyra. Goodbye, Elias. He forced himself to smile. Goodbye. She rose higher. The light swallowed her. And just before she disappeared completely, her voice echoed down to him. I will come back for you. Then she was gone. The beam vanished. The ships began to ascend. The tear in the sky closed, sealing impossible away as if it had never been there. The silence returned. But this time, it felt empty. Elias stood alone under the night sky. For a while, life pretended to go back to normal. And that was the strangest part. The same streets, the same school, the same voices echoing through the hallways. But everything felt thinner, like reality had been stretched. And now it didn't quite sit right anymore. Elias noticed it in small ways. He still walked the same path every morning. But he didn't stop anymore. There was no one waiting at the edge of town. No quiet girl sitting perfectly still. No soft voice saying his name. Just empty space. And memory. At school, people had questions. Dude, where's your alien girlfriend? You finally drop her, or what? Elias ignored them. At first. Then one day, he didn't. She left, he said simply. They laughed. Yeah, sure she did. He didn't argue. There was no point. How do you explain something like that? How do you tell people that the girl who couldn't walk was the daughter of someone who ruled the galaxy? You don't. You just keep walking. But nights were harder. That's when he found himself looking up at the sky, searching, waiting for something, anything, a sign, a crack, a shimmer. Nothing came. Days passed, then weeks, then months, and slowly, even Elias started to wonder, did it really happen? Until the dreams began. At first, they were fragments, light bending, voices layered over each other, a feeling of vastness that made his chest tighten. Then, they became clearer. He saw stars, not like from Earth, closer, alive, connected by threads of light that pulsed like a heartbeat. He saw structures, impossible ones, spanning entire systems. And sometimes, he saw her, Lyra, standing at the center of it all, no longer uncertain, no longer learning, but still looking for something. One night, the dream changed. It wasn't distant anymore. It was him. He stood in a space that wasn't space, an endless field of light and shifting geometry. And Lyra stood in front of him. Elias, she said. Her voice was clear. Rio, you're here, he asked. She shook her head. No, this is the connection. A dream? Something like that. He looked around. This is your world? A small part of it. He hesitated. You didn't come back. The words slipped out before he could stop them. Lyra's expression softened. I could not. Because of her? Yes. Elias sighed. Figures. She stepped closer. You are different. He frowned. Different how? You are adapting. To what? She didn't answer directly. Instead, she reached out, and this time, her hand touched his. Elias felt it instantly. A surge, not painful, but overwhelming, like his mind was trying to expand to hold something too large. What is that? He gasped. Our connection, she said. It remains. Images flashed. The day he first saw her. Carrying her. Her voice. Her smile. Everything layered with something deeper. Something ancient. You change me, she said quietly. Elias shook his head. I didn't do anything. You did. Her grip tightened slightly. You carried me. That's not. It is everything. He froze. The way she said it, it wasn't just emotional. It was literal. In my world, she continued, to carry someone when they are helpless is not kindness. Then what is it? It is a binding act. Elias stared at her. Binding? A vow encoded into existence itself. His chest tightened. You're saying I'm tied to you? Yes. The word echoed. Simple. Final. Elias let out a breath. Okay, that's a lot. I know. Silence stretched between them. Then, are you okay? He asked. It was such a normal question. So human. Lyra paused. Then, yes, she said. And for the first time, it sounded like she understood what that meant. The connection flickered. The space around them shifted. Time is limited, she said. Elias nodded. Yeah, I figured. He hesitated, then asked the thing that had been sitting in his chest for months. Are you actually coming back? Lyra looked at him, not as a ruler, not as something powerful. Just, Lyra, yes. He searched her expression. You're not just saying that. No. What's stopping you? Her gaze shifted. For now, Elias exhaled. Your mom owns a galaxy, he said. I guess she's allowed to be strict. Lyra almost smiled. Almost. She is cautious. Of me, he asked. Yes. He blinked. Why? You affected me. He laughed softly. That's not exactly a crime. In her view, it is unpredictable. Elias rubbed his face. Great. I'm a galactic risk now. You are more than that. He looked at her. How so? Lyra stepped closer, the space between them glowing faintly. You are the only one who carried me without knowing what I was. Elias didn't have a response to that, because she was right. He hadn't known, and he would have done it anyway. The connection began to fade. The light dimmed. Wait, Elias said, before you go. She stopped. What? He hesitated. Then, don't forget me. Lyra's expression changed. Not confusion. Not uncertainty. Something deeper. I could not, she said, even if I tried. The light around her intensified. I will return, Elias. Yeah, he said quietly. I'll hold you to that. She raised her hand, not quite touching him this time, but close. Next time, she said, you will not have to carry me. He smiled faintly. Good. My back could use the break. That made her smile. Fully, for the first time. Then, she was gone. Elias woke up, breathing hard. His room was dark, silent, normal, but his hand still tingled. He stared at it for a long moment. Then, slowly, he looked up, through the window, at the stars. They were distant, untouchable, but not unreachable anymore. Elias leaned back against the wall, a small, tired smile forming. Yeah, he murmured, I'll wait. Because somewhere out there, beyond worlds, beyond reason, beyond everything he understood, was a girl who had once needed him, a girl who remembered, a girl who promised. And this time, he knew she wasn't just part of his world. He was part of hers. And when she came back, nothing would ever be the same again.